Hi everyone, Jason Hayes here, Product Manager for Trimble RealWorks. And you're probably wondering, why is he in his truck? Well, I get asked a lot if Trimble RealWorks has the capability to do a traverse, even if your laser scanner may not have the capability to do a traverse in the field software. Well, the answer is yes, and we're going to take a look at how to do that in today's video. But first, I need to do some laser scanning. So the traverse went really well. I did 4 scans around this old building near our office. I started with Station 1, which you can see in the lower right hand corner, and worked my way around counterclockwise until I tied back in to that initial station. For targeting, I used 100mm Seco spheres on top of some adjustable height rods that I raided out of somebody's supply stash and held stable by a couple of beat up old bipods. And the scanner itself was a TrimbleTX-8 on top of a Trimax tripod. Alright, so let's start processing these files. I'm just going to open the folder where I've got this project that was created on the TX8. Now if I had another scanner like a Faro or whatever, I'd bring in the FLS files or whatever file formats were associated with that other scanner. So I'm just going to drag and drop this into the main window here of Trimble RealWorks. I certainly could have used the file open option. Then I need to go through and process these scans. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select each of these here in my list window. I'm going to make sure I'm in the registration mode, and then I'm going to come up here and click on Create Sampled Scans. You'll notice that there's no 3D data over here to look at. It's because they're in a compressed zip file, a TZF file if you will. So I'm going to click on Create Sampled Scans. And then I'm going to sample this down to bring in just the amount of points that I need to do a quick registration. That way it'll keep my project smaller. If the only thing I'm interested in is the building and those targets, I don't want to bring in a lot of extra points that I don't need. So I'm going to sample this down just so I can check the quality of my registration. 5 steps ought to be good. And you can see it's only going to bring in a few million points doing that. I'm going to click OK. And then I'm prompted with this dialog asking me if I want to compress those TZF scans even more. That's going to save me a lot more space on my computer, and that's usually good. It takes a little bit more time, but in this case I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. Alright, so the data's finished processing now, and we don't see anything, so I need to come up here and click on the zoom extents. Alright, so now we see all of our data right in the middle of our project. And we can see that it doesn't look quite right. If we zoom in a little closer, it doesn't look registered. If we come over and view it by station color, then we can see the 4 different colors for each of the 4 stations, and it's clearly not registered. You can see the barn is tore apart in different pieces, and there's a silo. So we need to come up here and make sure that we're in registration mode, and then we're going to click on the registration tab. Then we just need to make sure that our project is selected, and then click on Station Setup. Okay, so the tool is open now. I'm just going to move the border down here a little bit so we can see all of the tools in there. Now, to give you a little bit of background of how we use the Station Setup tool, in the field, I need to keep notes as I do my traverse. So I'm going to keep notes of where I set my instrument up, what point it's set over, what the instrument height is, keep track of my backside target and my foresight target, and what heights they're at. So in this case, I use the TrimbleTX-8, which does have the ability to enter the height in the field for each station. There's a bottom measurement notch and a true height measurement notch. In this case, I measured to the bottom, and it calculates the true height, and that's what you see here for the instrument height, so I don't have to enter it. But if I was using another scanner, I would need to go ahead and measure that and enter that here. Now another thing to note in the field is the TrimbleTX-8 also has the ability to do a higher definition area scan. So I'll do my full 360 scan, which you see here kind of in the top part of the screen. And once that scan's complete, I can isolate a specific area and scan it at a different resolution. So overall, this was just a quick 3-minute scan that I did out there, medium density. But there were some targets that were a little bit farther away, maybe 150 feet. So I did a higher density area scan on those targets. Again, I mentioned earlier I was using the 100 millimeter targets. These are fairly small spheres, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough points on those that I could process this once I got back to the office. So let's get started. Step 1 is to define your station setup. So in this case, I'm on station 1. Now the scanner, the TX-8, names the station, so accordingly station 1, the first one that you do, is called station 1. So I'm going to try to name my stations and my targets accordingly. It just makes it easier for me to keep track of where I'm at and not get confused as I go through the process. So I'll show you how I do that. So I'm on station 1. I need to select the station setup type. I've got the option between a traditional station setup or a resection. In this case, I'm just going to choose station setup. Step 2, I need to define my instrument parameters. Here you can see that the instrument height is already entered. Then I need to put in a point. Now I have two options. I can select a point from a list, so if I had a control file I'd imported, I could select it from there. But you'll notice if I click there, there's in fact no points in this project. So it's just going to work over an assumed coordinate. So I'm going to key in that coordinate. So this point where I'm set up, this is over station. I'm just going to call it ST space 001. Now I could name it whatever I wanted, but just to keep it straight, I'm naming it what the scanner's naming it. So station 1, my coordinate, I'm going to use 5,000, 10,000, and 100. Now you notice that these are in US survey feet. You can see it down here in my units. Now if I wanted to change those to meters, I could just click down in that lower right hand corner and bring up my units preferences. So I'm just going to click create now. So now there is a topo or a control point called ST001, and it has the coordinates of 5,000, 10,000, 100. Next, I need to select my targets. So in step 3, I need to measure my targets. So I'm just going to click on extract. Then I'm going to zoom in where my targets are. So here's my back sight. And I've got two options. I can do an auto extract target or a polygonal selection. Now before I get there, I actually should tell you, you have the choice between spherical targets, black and white targets, just points that you pick, or the software can extract corners. In this case, we want to stick with our spherical target, and we can enter the diameter. I told you earlier these were 100 millimeter spheres, so if I type in 100 mm, it's going to go ahead and convert that for me. So I'm just going to leave that set because I'm using the same size spheres for the rest of the traverse. Then I'm just going to click on the center of the sphere using that one-click option. And you can see extracted down here at the bottom. So you can see it's picked up some other points. I'm just going to rotate to the side. And actually it looks like a good fit on my sphere. I can see the number of points that were picked. Now that is in fact all of those. There's going to be fewer on the sphere. But for now that looks okay. There's my diameter. I'm just going to click create. You'll also notice that there's a shortcut key of P, so this makes it a little bit faster as you go through the process. So this is what I'm referring to as my back sight, and the software has no concept of back sight or foresight. They're all just targets, but again, for me to keep it straight in my mind, I like to refer to it as my back sight, and I'm going to call this 000 because it's behind my station 1. Makes sense to me. And then I'm going to put in the height. So I used a height of 5 foot, and I find it easier just to highlight over the entire field and then just click number 5 and then hit enter. And I'll go ahead and put that in there. So I'm going to click OK. Alright, so there is my target. Then I'm just going to zoom out here, and I'm going to come over here. So this is the general area where my next target was. This was what I called my foresight. So you'll notice that it's a little bit more difficult to see. In fact, it's probably impossible unless you know where it is. So what I can do is I did an area scan on this one. So scan number 2 brings up this area scan, this thin sliver. So I'm just going to zoom in on it. And then I'm just going to scroll down until I start to see points. There they are. Now you can see I can see it a lot more clearly here. And so another thing I mentioned earlier, I have a 5-foot back sight and I used a 6-foot foresight. And this also makes it easier to see inside of the scan data here because I can see this long extension sticking up higher, so I know that I'm picking on the right target. So I'm trying to do everything that I can to help me not mess up. So I'm just going to click on extract, and it's all set up the way I want it. And just click on the middle of that target. You can hear my fan starting to pick up. Okay, so it's extracted that target now. If I rotate to the side, you can see there's a lot more points on here. 162 in all, and they're all on the sphere. So that looks great. So I'm just going to click create. And this is going to be target 002. In fact, I'm going to call it FS 002. And the height is 6 foot. Then click OK. Alright, so if I zoom out, that looks good. So now I have my back sight and my foresight. I'm just going to close the target creator. And I don't need to enter any coordinates in because the software is going to go ahead and calculate those. So now I'm ready to go to the next station. So I could select from the drop-down list, or I can just click on the Go to Next Station button. Okay, so now I'm in station number 2. I just need to come down here. It's already got the station height entered from the instrument. Now I can pick a point. So I'm going to be sitting on that foresight number 2. 002, station 002. So you can see what I was talking about, naming my targets the same as what the scanner is going to name the scan stations. So I'm going to click OK. That's where my scanner is sitting. Then I need to extract my targets. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to select, I messed up on this one, scan 3. And again, I'm just going to zoom in here a ways and then scroll down until I start to see points. So there's my backside target. I can see it's got this short area here, so I know it's my 5-foot target. And again, I could also look at my notes. Then I'm going to click on extract, click in the middle there. Okay, so my target's extracted. Give it a quick rotation. Make sure that it's a good match. Then click create. So this was my back sight, and it is sitting on 001, and that height is 5 foot. I'm going to click OK. Then I'm just going to close that out. Now I'm going to come over here and assign the coordinates for that because it's sitting on 001. So I'm going to click on my coordinate list. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to choose that point 001 where it was setting and click OK. Now you'll see that the error is pretty large. It actually hasn't been computed yet. That's just initial based on the scanner positions. So I'm going to click apply. Okay, so you see the residuals now are 3/100ths. That's actually not too bad considering the kind of beat up equipment that I mentioned earlier that I stole for this project. Now I'm just going to extract that next target. So stay in scan number 4. Then I'm going to come over here and click on the extract button. And again, I'm going to zoom in and then scroll down until I see points. Okay, there it is. Now I can zoom in and out with this as well. Okay, so with this you can see it's got the extension, so I know again this is my 6-foot target. I'm going to click here. Okay, so it's extracted the target. Looks pretty good. And then I'm going to click create. And this is in fact sitting on foresight 003, and the height is 6 foot. Click enter, and then just close the tool. Okay, so I think you've probably got the hang of it. I'm just going to go a little bit faster now for this next one. I'm just going to go to station 3. Again, my instrument height is entered. I'm going to click on the point. So station 3 is sitting on foresight 3. Click OK. Then I'm going to come and extract my targets. And again, these back sights and foresights are getting a little bit long. So I'm going to select scan 2. And again, I'm going to zoom in a ways here and scroll down until I see points. There we go. So there's my back sight, and again, you can see really clearly that's the 5 foot. Click extract, come over here, pick in the middle. Okay, there's my target. Looks good. Click create. So this target is going to be sitting on back sight 002, and that height 5 foot. Okay. Close this. Then go to scan 3. This is the area scan for that foresight. And when I'm scanning in the field, I try to do them in order, always to scan the backside first with my area scan, and then scan my foresight. So it makes it a lot easier for me in the office. So I can zoom in here. I'm going to click extract, click in the middle. Okay, that looks good. Fair amount of points, 81. This is probably my longest target stretch here. I'm going to click create. This is going to be foresight 004. The height 6 foot. And then click OK. Then close the tool. Now for the back sight 002, I'm going to select the coordinates. So I'm sitting on station 3. So I'm going to select station 2, click OK, because that's where my backside is. Again, large residuals, but once I click apply, then those goes down to look a lot better. So now I'm ready to move on to my final station, station 4. I'm going to enter in the instrument coordinates. So I'm sitting on station 4. That's going to be foresight 4. And again, you can see how easy this goes when you use a nice naming convention. Then I'm going to, again, I don't remember why I had multiple scans. Yes, I do. So this will be a quick tip here. I'm going to select station 3. Oh, actually, let me show you on station 1. So this was the full scan. Now in the field, it's sometimes difficult to see where the target is on the tiny display on the scanner. Even here, it's a little bit difficult to see where my target is. It's out here somewhere. So one of the tricks that I like to do to make it easier to see the target is to stand behind it when I do the scan, which I forgot to do in this case. So we're going to look at scan 3. And then if I zoom in, and I just scroll down here until I see points, you can see me standing beside it. And it makes it so much easier inside of the scanner to see that, so that you know where you do the area scan. So you can see in this case I actually did a pretty big area scan because I couldn't see it. I actually forgot to go back there and stand beside it. So standing beside it makes it a lot easier to pick out in the scanner, also makes it easier to pick out here. So this is my back sight. I'm just going to zoom in on it. Okay, so I'm zooming in on it. Then I'm just going to come over here and click on extract. This is going to be my back sight. You can see I'm actually getting really good detail even at that long distance. Let's scroll down here. That looks pretty good. Click create. Now this is going to be my back sight on 003, and the height is going to be 5 foot. Click OK. Close that. Then I'm going to go to station 4. Again, I'm going to zoom in. and then scroll down until I see points. There's the power lines. All right, and then there's my setup. So I'm going to click extract. Then I'm just going to click on the center of the sphere. Okay, so the target's been extracted. Rotate, give it a quick look. Everything's looking pretty good there. Now if you're having difficulty seeing the points on the sphere, you can always come down here and change the pixel size to make them bigger. It just makes it easier to see what's going on. Okay, so then I'm going to click create. Now this is checking in to my target. So this is going to be foresight. And I'm just going to call this 001 because that's where that station was. And the height is 6 foot. So we're going to click OK. Then I'm going to close the tool. And then I'm going to come over here and assign coordinates to the backsite. So the backsite's on station 3. Click OK. And again, we've got really high residuals. We click apply. And we're down to 2/100ths. Now we can also go in and apply coordinates to that foresight, and that is going to be sitting on that station 1. So we click OK. Now you can see we also have residuals there. I'm going to click apply, and that's going to do an overall adjustment. Then I'm just going to click on close, and we probably want to see what this looks like. So we're going to come up here, click on zoom extent, rotate around, and we can see that everything now is coming together nicely. Now, if we want to see a least squares adjustment report, we can select the project, go back to the survey workflow group, and click on adjust network. So this will bring up a report. We can see each station, we can see each target and the station there, and we can see the residuals for each one. And we can also see an overall residual error for the project. Now, of course, we could export the report out into a rich text file format that you could open in Microsoft Word, or you can just look at it and bring it up here whenever you like to. Okay, so when we're done, we just make sure to click apply, then click close. I'm just going to move this up. And now we have our project registered and completed. Now, of course, if you want to do some checks, we can use the N key. So just move your mouse where you'd like to look, press the N button, and then you can rotate to see the quality of the registration. Looks great on that corner. Come up here to the top. Look where we've got a lot of points coming together. So this is looking really good. So we could come up here and use the registration visual check. Again, we've got the target, so I'm pretty confident with this. But you can always come in here, do a horizontal slice, and then pick somewhere like on this tower. And then you can come in, and it helps you to do some really quick checks on the quality of that. And you can see this is in perspective view. We're going to change it to parallel. That makes it a lot easier to go through and do some analysis on the quality of this registration. But overall, really happy with the results. Got good numbers. The point cloud looks good, and I think that we're done here. One thing that you could do is if you wanted to come back later and do a georeferencing on this, you could go to select the project, go to the registration tab, and in this group we have, I didn't mean to click on that. In this group we have the georeferencing tool, which will allow you then to go in and type in coordinates for these targets to move your project to that. Now, of course, you won't get residuals. It'll show you the error that you're matching on there, but you will be georeferenced if you wanted to go to a UTM or a state plane coordinate system. So that's it. If I do a quick measurement check here, I can do individual point. Click here at the bottom. And you can see that we're in fact 5,000, 10,100 on this project. So that's it for this video on traversing with 3D laser scanners. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I hope to see you on the next one.